Hello, everybody. It's Joanna here from yoursacredtransformation.com. Today is day 334 out of 366 days to transform all fears back into love through love and beyond. Today's title is Why I'm No Longer Digging My Heels in Fear Like a Frightened Animal. That conjures up quite an image, doesn't it? When one digs their heels in like a frightened animal, which animal are you? I was just imagining that for myself, and like, what animal would I be? Kind of maybe it'd be like a little hyena, like screeching inside my own brain because I'm freaked out about something. And this is really about the fear that many of us have, including me as well, when you've been contemplating undergoing a huge transition, something about letting go of the you that you've been in order to become the you that you are becoming. Yeah. So, about 4 years ago, I made a decision to really enter the online world. Maybe it was 5 years ago now. I think I started thinking about it 5 years ago. And it wasn't until about 3.5 years ago that I started taking action. So anybody who's a good math student can see there's about a year and a half in there where I was like that frightened animal, clinging to some version of the past, some version of the me that I was or that I was starting to not be anymore, afraid to enter this online world. I had judgments galore about sales and marketing. I did not want to be cheesy. I did not want to be pushy. I'd never promoted myself or put myself out there. I had had clients find me offline through friends. I had several and still do several key clients who have beautifully, and I'm so gratefully, saying this, just referred me networks of friends and partners and whatnot. And I never really had the desire to make a larger contribution to the world, but I did at that 5 year mark. And I just dug my heels in. Little hyena screeching inside my own mind, afraid to take the next step. Really afraid. Afraid of what it would take, afraid ultimately of my own power, which I'm really starting to enjoy and taste now in this process. And what I had to do is to really be okay with letting go of the me that I had been so that I could embrace the me that I was becoming. And I realized that the fear that I had was really tying me up and keeping me the same way that I was. I was so good at doing that. I was like a frightened little animal, just like holding on to this person that I was, or at least that I thought I was. And then finally I transitioned, but it wasn't overnight. It took I think I took one class at that 3.5 year mark. It was an 8 month, balls to the wall marketing program that basically introduced me to concepts that I didn't know about, like a landing page, a blog, Facebook. I was a real newbie. I had no orientation. It was really hard. I want to tell you how hard that was. And I'm grateful, though, that the frightened animal released herself. It was almost like I had to let myself get so frightened in that animal position, that hyena, it was like she would constantly howl and screech inside of my own mind, telling me and forecasting, all this bullshit about who I would be if I entered this marketing world or this online world or whatever. A bunch of stories that I was happy to eventually completely dissolve. It's possible for you too to dissolve all those stories about the you that you're becoming, that the current you is telling you all kinds of stuff about that just simply isn't true. I learned to really examine all my stories and to only subscribe to the truth if that was what I discovered, which was not common. I did not discover a lot of truth because so much of it was obscured by stories. So if you're on the verge of a big transition and you feel like a frightened animal, have fun with that animal. Have fun with that animal. Let yourself embody it so that you can eventually experience what I call like a, what's that word? Like when the arrow releases from the bow, the catapult, the sling back energy. I think there's another word for it, where it's pulled, it's pulled all the way back, right? And then eventually the arrow releases forward. So for me, all of that fear and fright was literally the pulling back of the arrow and positioning it 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 and positioning it. And as the stories dissolved and as I became more okay in the transition process and the letting go process, that arrow has started to fly forward, and it gains momentum directly in proportion to how much fear and fright there was. So this is what's possible for you. Let yourself transition. Let yourself be okay releasing the you that you were. Allow yourself to embrace the you that you're becoming. And know that all is well and all will be okay. And you're all fine. And there's a lot of love in this journey of letting go of the old to make way for the new inside of you. It's beautiful, it's heartfelt, it's loving if you really let yourself open up to it in full. And probably if you're on the verge of a major transition, letting yourself open up to the fullness of your own love is juicy and ripe and wonderful and so deeply worth it, and ultimately actually so deeply needed as well. I could not have evolved to where I am right now if it had not been for self-love, great self-love. So give it to yourself, give it fully, let it all happen. Know that you're loved, and know that I love you too. Thank you for watching. Take care. See you tomorrow.